A quick walkthrough of how Pete and I use Edgewonk. If you want something more in-depth, Edgewonk actually has a bunch of videos on their website, but it's like 4 or 5 hours to go through it all. So hopefully this is just a quick overview where you gain all the main functionalities of it. Okay. First things first, Edgewonk doesn't have a native app for Windows or Mac. So what I did is on Chrome, if you click the three dots here, go to open more tools, create shortcut, open as window, name it whatever you want, create. What it does is it actually creates a icon on your desktop that you can pin to your taskbar. And then every time you need to open Edgewonk, literally daily, it's super quick to open up and it has all the same functionalities. Okay, so I will start at custom statistics down here because that's probably the most important part for us. All of these are customizable. You can change it. You can add as many as you want, as far as I know. Change the names of it, and I'll show you what it looks like when you're actually entering a trade. But this is super important because if there's anything that we want to figure out has a statistical edge or statistical probability, this is a great way of tracking it. So for example, we have over here setups, which is kind of like the pro trend, order flow, pro trend moves, or counter trend moves. Anything other than that would be in custom statistics. So if you wanted to know what the highest probability of execution type is, right? We have stops, limits, and market. Every trade that I enter, I say whether I use a stop, a limit, or a market execution, and then at the end of 50, 100, 200 trades, whatever amount I want to actually look at, I can filter them out and say, okay, only show me trades that I used a stop limit for, or a stop, buy stop, sell stop for, and then show me trades that I used a buy limit or sell limit for. And by doing that, it's going to actually give me all of the statistics of like win rate, R multiple, anything that I would need to make a statistical decision of whether or not that change would be good for my overall strategy. Okay, so these are just some of the ones that I have. Feel free to screenshot it. I am going to change a few, but the biggest thing for me right now is probably the is here. So price retapped entry before take profit, retapped entry before stop loss, or price didn't tap entry. Because one of the things that I'm working on now is, back in Phantom, it made sense to partial to cover your stop instead of moving your stop loss, because I think that the strategy wasn't as refined as it is now. But the strategy that we have now, especially with pro trend moves, statistically speaking, once we enter, after breaking even at 4.5 pips, it typically doesn't come back into drawdown or come back to break even before going to a take profit. If it does come back, way more often than not, it tends to go straight for the stop loss, and you would have been taken out whether you partialed to get risk off or you moved your stop loss. So every single trade that I take, I can keep track of if price retap my entry before take profit, because that's the only time where partialing would make sense, or if it retapped my entry before my stop loss, or if price just boogied, didn't even look at my, or didn't even come back to my entry after entering and getting risk off. So you can make these whatever you want for your trading style, or for whatever statistics you want to be aware of. After that, you can import. This is just the settings, but if you import all of your trades from, you can create a custom report from your broker in MT4 at the end of the day and import it like this. So all of your trades are imported within like 2 or 3 minutes. The only thing that it doesn't do is it doesn't put partials in the same trade. You have to manually do that for now. But in a couple months, Edgewonk said that they are going to make it so that you can merge trades. So that's going to be super dope. But even now, it takes like 2-3 minutes to merge a partial to the main trade. It's really not a big deal. We have trade comments. So this affects your weekly tilt, and tilt is basically how well did you follow your plan. So trade entry, trade management, and trade exit. If you get into a trade and you move your stop loss prematurely, or you take partials prematurely, or you mismanage it any way other than what you had initially planned to do when you enter the trade, then you can add like a negative tilt to it or a positive tilt to it. And there's actually an area, I think it's here. It's efficiency. So this goes off of your tilt. And if your tilt is every single trade has only positive tilt, your efficiency is going to be 100%. You're following your plan to a T. But as soon as you start messing with your tilt, when you enter a trade, you say, yeah, you know, I fucked up on my trade management, or I fucked up on the exit. I didn't exit where I had planned, or it didn't really fit my entry, but I still entered from FOMO, whatever. It doesn't fit your plan. It gives you a really good sense of, at the end of the month, end of the week, whatever, okay, how many trades did I enter that didn't fit my plan, or I mismanaged, or like exited too early, too late, whatever. Now the cool thing about the management as well is over here somewhere, it tells us where trade management. So this basically just shows us if we're over managing our trades. When you enter a trade, you can say where your take profit is, and if your take profit is hit, then it's going to say you didn't mismanage the trade. But if your take profit was hit, but you didn't close the trade, it's going to say you mismanaged it, and it actually has a graph to show you how much money you're leaving on the table, or how much better performance you would have if you just left your trades alone. Trade comments. Okay, so we'll get back to that after. But then we have our setups, probably the most important part. What I have here is 4 setups. Pro trend, all based on the 15-minute, but basically a pro trend trade that's not with order flow, a pro trend trade that is with order flow as a scale in, essentially, a pullback after a break of structure, like the first one after 1 minute chalk and flip, and then 15-minute pullback order flow continuation. So if we have 15-minute order flow, bearish order flow after a 15-minute bullish break of structure, I can keep track of all those, and already found out that's probably the least profitable type. I can then look at, where is it? Drawdown, push staff, trade comments, trade performance by setup. And you can see what the average outcome per setup is. So structural continuations have the best, like the average win is 466, and 15-minute pullback, the average win is 668. Pullback order flow continuations, net losses, and 15-minute range, net losses. So then I know I can just focus on structural continuations, pullbacks, and there are no order flow continuations. And then we have instruments, basically what you trade, so that you can look at the different pairs and say like, okay, yeah, EU is my most profitable, I'll focus on that. Or GU, I'm actually not profitable at all, so cut that completely or figure out why. But it really helps, like, all statistics. Notebook is super cool. You can keep track of, you know, whatever you need. I personally do all of that in Notion, so I don't have much need for any of that. Chart book, anytime you enter a trade and you have screenshots attached to it, all of those trades come up in your chart book. So you can go trade by trade, look at the gain, loss, everything like that, and say, okay, why was it a loss? What did I do? And for me personally, I just do like the 4-hour, the 15-minute, the 1 minute, and then 5-second to show the entries and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the chart book. You can open trade too, see all the technical information, but we'll get to that in a sec. Backtester, no idea, never used it, doesn't look fun. Stick with SoftFX or TradingView or something, personally. Sessions, super cool. Basically, what happens here is, let's say this date range from next week. All I'm gonna do, this is very important, or you use that however you want, for me it's important. I'm gonna say that what I want to focus on is trading with order flow, because that's a weakness of mine. So lessons learned, I'm gonna say that, you know, during this week, whatever, all I'm gonna do is focus on order flow. Then at the end of the week, I can come back to this period and it'll tell me how many trades I took, how many were winners, how many were losers, how many were break even, what my win rate was, the dollar amount gain, percentage gain, R multiple, and the tilt meter. So by having these sessions, week long, month long, whatever you want, it really helps you see in that period of time. Let's say you're split testing something and for the next week you want to move your stop loss to break even or whatever it is. Instead of partialing, it's going to tell you if you have more losers on average, if you have more break evens on average, if your win rate was drastically improved, or if it just went to shit, and the dollar amount per trade. So you can compare this week after week and say, like, you know what, there is actually a huge difference between the 2 weeks, and I'm not like super not stoked about it, or this was a really good week because I changed this thing. And then you can think about that moving over to the next next trading week. Simulator, it takes your current equity curve, your current win rate, R multiple, everything like that, start simulation, and it'll project using your current statistics, what balance you'll have after X amount of trades. You know how the simulator works, but it's pretty cool because it uses your own instead of ones that you input. So missed trades, you can journal missed trades. This is super important for me because I tend to miss trades that other team members take. And so what I do is I keep track of all of them, and I keep track of the setup and everything like that. So you can use these filters up here, and you can say like, okay, so on EU as a winner or actually I could just do it like this. So I don't think I have EU on those. Okay, so Euro USD lowercase. So I can say, just looking at this helped like so much mid-January. I took like the 10, 15, 20 trades, whatever's there. I say, okay, pro trend order flow, pullback order flow, structural continuation, pullback order flow, pullback order flow, pullback order flow, pro trend order flow. And I was able to see like, wow, a lot of the trades that I was missing was pullback order flow continuations that other people were taking. So then the next week I can add a session and say, focus on pro trend or pullback order flow continuations, and kind of keep an eye on those trades and try to get into more and more of those trades, just as like, you know, a 1% improvement for that week. So between missed trades, all this too, but between missed trades and the sessions, it's just such a good recipe for improvement. Simple as that. Trade analytics, you can look at your trades and group them and see the biggest part of this is, let's look at setups, and let's look at 15-minute structural continuations. It'll load, it'll say, okay, you've had 17, the average lot size was 25, 30% win rate, $27 expectancy, stellar. Average gain, profit factor, average R multiple, and you can really filter anything you want on for this, the trade analytics, so you can see if there's one type of trade, like I said earlier, that's the most profitable, or one instrument that's the most profitable, or the, you know, one day of the week that's most profitable, a specific session that's most profitable, least profitable, anything like that. And you can use your advanced filters, which is essentially your custom statistics as well. So you can look at your entry comments, look at the ones that fit the plan. There's 8 that fit the plan, and there's actually worse. First, the ones that didn't fit the plan. Well, that's actually way worse, never mind. So that is super helpful because then you can really single out where your issues are, and what kind of execution types, what the reasons are, what like the order flow objective is, what the structural objective is, and you can look at what your most profitable trades are to single those out and focus on those. Super helpful. Monthly reports just shows you month by month what's up. Journal is the individual trades. So once you go to imports and you import it, it automatically goes to your journal. And once you do that, you have to put them together, like I said, edit it, whatever. But this is what it looks like. So I just, before recording this video, I imported a couple trades. Haven't edited them yet. Automatic setup is structural continuation. You can choose it. You can say if it was a buy or sell. You include your fees here, which is just commission, exit price, or if you close like if partial closes, you can have it like that. Partial opens, you can, or scale-ins. Partials. Yeah, if you take partials, you can put them in here. Add an entry or add an exit. which we don't really add entries because they're individual trades, or add an exit. You can use these to tell you how long your average runner are. So, you know, entry date and time, exit date and time. So you can go back through your chart lab and it'll tell you, you know, the trades that have the highest are that all of your break-even trades you tend to hold for 3 days or whatever, so that you can get an idea of, again, what trades to focus on and what trades to maybe omit from your trading plan. But back to the journal. Then advanced trade data is the area where you put in all of your trade comments and your custom statistics. You can put highest and lowest price in order to help it understand if you're mismanaging your trade or if you left money on the table. OTP is basically original take profit or initial take profit. So it's like, was your initial take profit hit? Yes or no? Self-explanatory. Break even, then it doesn't count it as a win or loss, which is dope. And then your custom statistics, you can choose as many of these as you want. Just go on there, but yeah. And then you go to screenshots and you can either import a URL from TradingView, like however you do it. I think it's Alt S. Yeah. Or process URL. Or you can screenshot, which is what I always do, and then I just Control V and it automatically updates it. It says your RR planned, like what, based on your take profit, what your RR would have been, and your average R multiple from the outcome, gain loss from the outcome. Pretty cool. Then you save it and everything is there. Then because you attached a photo to it, now it's going to be in your chart book somewhere right here. And then obviously we have home last, which is cool because you can compare your running stats versus your overall stats. So you can look at the last week, the last month, aside from just using a session. If you decide to permanently, you do a session, let's say you found out that XYZ works really well, so you start applying that to your strategy moving forward, then you can look at your running stats of the last week, the last month since you applied it, and compare it to your overall evaluation, which is super helpful in seeing if you are making small improvements daily, weekly, monthly, versus like, you know, you're in a period of drawdown or you're having a hard time. And then that is another indicator of if there's something you have to fix. When you have a session, and if it'll actually come up here just as a reminder. So if you're in a session, you know, you create a session over here and you're focusing on trading with order flow, then you say trading with order flow in the session notes. It's going to come up here just as a constant reminder, which is a small thing, but it's pretty helpful. Hope it's on dark. And you can have multiple databases, which is pretty helpful. And I think that's pretty much all that there is to Edgewonk. If you guys want more in-depth things on each, maybe in the chart lab or something, these are all pretty like self-explanatory, but Edgewonk on their website has a walkthrough of each individual thing. Each video is maybe like 10, 15, 20 minutes. So if you really want to know the nooks and crannies of it, feel free to do that. But in the other case, I hope this helped.